What's up, guys? Alvaro here, and welcome to the Bilingual Stock Market channel again. On this channel, we talk about the markets, but we do it in English and Spanish as well, so you can pick your preferred language. And in this video, and as I do at Mondays through Thursdays, I want to make a quick stock market update, so I want to break down some technicals, going over S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, but also breaking down from a technical standpoint 4 stocks that tomorrow are going to be on the very top of my personal watch list. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. And the markets were very choppy today, guys. And for the most part, we had a mixed day today with Russell 2000 going up 0.61%, NASDAQ went down 0.14%, Dow Jones went down 0.34%, and the S&P 500 went down 0.24%. And if we take a look at the sectors that trade inside the S&P 500, the best performing sector today was real estate, which went up 1.37%, whereas the worst performing sector was communication services, which went down 0.84%, 0.94% rather. And the big drop that we saw today in this sector in communication services was pretty much because of Facebook, which is the most important member of the communication services sector. And when it comes to the most important sectors of the markets, or at least inside the S&P 500, we are talking about tech. So the tech sector went down today 0.54%, and the financial sector went down today 0.32%. Something that really caught my eye today, guys, was the fact that tomorrow, you guys know that we are going to have the CPI data report coming out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that so far this year, tomorrow is going to be the most important day. The markets are extremely concerned about inflation, and I think that whatever the CPI data report shows is going to help the markets in order to pick a direction. So something that caught my eye was that today was that Tesla went up a lot. It went up like $10 or $12. You guys know that Tesla is a stock of a company that trades in the public markets on higher multiples, and most of the EV related stocks went up a lot today. And the main sector, guys, that should benefit from a hotter than expected CPI data report, which would be the financial sector, ended up going down today 0.32%. This is odd, guys, to say the least. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Keep in mind that that report is coming out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the expectations are at around 0.3%. And mind you, guys, and regardless of whatever the CPI data report shows tomorrow, keep in mind that on average, October is the month of the year in which the markets see the greater amount of days with gains and losses of more than 1%. So we can make the case that if we happen to have tomorrow a worse than expected CPI data report, then the markets might go lower than 1%. We might see a loss greater than 1% in both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And on the flip side, if we happen to see a way better than expected CPI data report, then maybe the markets can rally more than 1%. That is going to be very, but very interesting tomorrow, no doubt about it. And I also wanted to show you guys the most important earnings that are coming out throughout this week. So officially, the new earnings season is kicking off tomorrow. And before open, we have JP Morgan, we have Delta Airlines, we have BlackRock. Keep in mind, guys, that JP Morgan in this case is the largest bank of the US, and BlackRock, and I am pretty much sure that BlackRock is the largest investment firm of the world. I think that this company manages something like $9 trillion in assets and investments. So we need to keep a close watch on whatever JP Morgan says during its press conference once the earnings report of this bank comes out. And also, we need to keep a close watch on whatever the CEO of BlackRock. I think that for the most part, or usually, the CEO of BlackRock always gives an interview to CNBC after BlackRock reports earnings. So we need to keep a close watch on whatever the CEO of this company says. We might, listen to some stuff about inflation, labor shortages, and disruptions in supply chains. And the markets are going to be very sensitive to whatever JP Morgan and BlackRock say after having reported earnings. Then on Thursday, we have Taiwan Semiconductor, we have Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank, Domino's Pizza, United Health, and Morgan Stanley. Wow, Thursday is going to be a big day when it comes to earnings as well before open, basically. And then on Friday, we have Goldman Sachs, we have Charles Schwab, we have PNC, and JB Hunt. So those are the most interesting earnings. And yeah, we need to keep a close watch on whatever is said tomorrow by JP Morgan and BlackRock. And they should be reporting earnings, guys, before 8:30 a.m. So tomorrow is going to be a big day throughout the morning, because we are going to have two very important institutions reporting earnings, and they are going to be reporting earnings a bit before we get the CPI data report. And now let's go ahead, before going over the S&P and the NASDAQ 100, guys, I wanted to show you a day trade that I closed today once again. I showed you guys a trade that I closed yesterday, but that was an over the weekend trade with Pinduoduo. And guess what? Today I took a day trade. I took a successful trade once again on Pinduoduo. So this morning I purchased 100 shares at $94.20, paying $9,420. And this was such a quick trade, guys. It took me like 8 minutes to sell out of these 100 shares at $96.23, and I was paid $9,623. So I ended up making over here $200. This wasn't a huge trade. This was a base hit, but base hits put you in the Hall of Fame. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the 10-year Treasury yield. And the 10-year Treasury yield went down today. And obviously, guys, this is going to be a mover tomorrow after the CPI data report comes out. So I'm thinking, guys, that if we happen to have a better than expected CPI data report, we could maybe see the 10-year Treasury yield breaking 1.55% to the downside and maybe paying a visit to this 50 SMA on the 4-hour chart at 1.49%. That might be a possibility. And obviously, guys, if we happen to see a way hotter than expected CPI data report, 0.5%, 0.7%, or needless to say, 0.9% or something crazy like that, I would say that we are very likely to see the 10-year Treasury yield bursting above 1.63%, which happens to be a former area of overhead resistance in which the 10-year Treasury yield fell back in late May and also back in early June, and maybe filling the next gap up to almost 1.7%. That is a likely scenario tomorrow, guys. So as I have been saying throughout this video, the CPI data report is going to be absolutely critical tomorrow, no doubt about it. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the S&P 500. And there is not really a lot to say over here, guys, because today we had a very choppy day. So the S&P ended up going down 0.24%, and it closed today's trading session at 4,350 points. So let me pull up here the 1 day, 1 minute chart and take a look at this, guys. So from peak to bottom, guys, the S&P pretty much traded within a 30-point range. So we saw a very choppy day, a day in which it is very difficult to take day trades, or a day in which it is very difficult to close any swing position because we didn't see much move when it comes to the indices. That's why I feel very happy because I could take the successful trade that I just showed you on Pinduoduo in a matter of only 8 minutes. So in terms of overhead resistance, sorry guys, for the bulls tomorrow, the most important task is going to be 4360. 4360 happens to be a former area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of the S&P failed on 2 occasions back in early July. And as I just said, guys, so October is the month of the year in which we see the greater amount of days with 1% losses and gains. So, and taking into account that the S&P closed today at 4350, if tomorrow we happen to see a 1% positive day, that might take the bulls of the S&P up to almost 4400. And mind you guys, if the S&P 500 tomorrow happens to make a push to the upside of 1%, that is going to imply that the bulls of the S&P are going to be taking on this 50 SMA on the 4-hour chart. So this would be bullish, guys, or semi-bullish, I would say. I still believe, and I have been telling you guys this here on the channel, that for the bulls of the S&P, in order to reconquer control of this index, they need to take on 4422, which happens to be an area of overhead resistance in which they failed on 3 occasions back in July, and that it is also coincides on the 4-hour chart with this 180 SMA. And on the flip side, what happens if we see a 1% push to the downside? If we happen to have a worse than expected CPI data report, that is going to take the bears of the S&P down to pretty much 4,300. So that would put the bears of the S&P very close to a critical area of lower support that they haven't been able to take on at 4,280 points. So tomorrow, and as I have been saying, is going to be a very interesting day in technical terms. We could also make the case, guys, that if we happen to have a worse than expected CPI data report, then that is going to be obviously very beneficial for the inflation trade, industrials, financials, and materials. And if those sectors happen to have a very solid day tomorrow, then that might, make things even in the S&P 500, because on the flip side, we are going to see the tech sector under a lot of pressure. And when it comes to the NASDAQ 100, and in the case of the NASDAQ 100, guys, if tomorrow we have a worse than expected CPI data report, then nothing is going to make things even over here. The NDX is very likely to take a huge hit. So the NASDAQ 100 went down today 0.35%, and it closed today's trading session at 14,662 points. And let's do the same exercise, guys. So if tomorrow we happen to see a 1% gain in the case of the NDX, that would take the bulls right up to the very important area of overhead resistance, the most important area actually, guys, of overhead resistance as of now for the bulls in the NASDAQ 100, 14,780 points. I have been telling you guys that this is a very important area in technical terms for the bulls, because we are talking about a former area of support back from August 19 and also back from, this is July 27. So if we happen to see a push to the upside of 1%, then maybe that might let the bulls of the NDX reconquer 14,780 points, which would be a nice green day for the bulls. However, on the flip side, if we happen to see a 1% loss tomorrow in the case of the NDX, then that is going to take the bears of the NASDAQ 100 down to 14,480 points. Very close, guys, but very, very close to the area of lower support at 14,400 points, in which they felt back on October 4th. So let's see what happens tomorrow And if we take a look at the relative strength index of the NDX, it is at 41 points. So the NASDAQ 100 is slowly but surely getting closer to oversold territory. So we can make the case, guys. I am trying to see things glass half full over here, that if the bears can accomplish this task of taking the NASDAQ 100 down to 14,400 points, then the relative strength index of this index is going to be even lower, and that is going to increase the likelihood for the bulls of the NDX to find support at a previous area of lower support and then bounce back up. So remember, tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going to be deciding upon the fate of the good old stock market. And the first stock of this video is going to be XOS, ticker symbol XOS. And this is a company that is headquartered in Los Angeles, and this company is either manufacturing or is planning on manufacturing electric trucks. And as I said in the introduction of this video, most of the EV related stocks had an amazing day today, and as I told you, that really caught my eye, guys. So the inflation trade got decimated today, whereas the higher multiple trade, let's just put it that way, had a phenomenal day the day before we get the CPI data report. So that's a puzzle piece. It's on the table. Okay, so the stock of this company went up today 4.71%, and it closed today's trading session at $4.89. And check this out, guys. The stock of this company got to all-time high back in February. This was on February 8th at $14. And it seems like the bottom might be in at $4.25. So from all-time high down to $4.25, the stock of this company dropped 70%. And I guarantee you guys that there are people out there with shares of XOS purchased at $14. So let me zoom in here on the 4-hour chart. However, it looks like the worst is already gone. So the stock of this company is, from a technical standpoint, guys, entering into a very interesting territory. So $4.95 is a previous area of overhead resistance in which the bulls of this stock felt back on October 5th, and that is coinciding on the 4-hour chart with this 50 SMA. So I'm thinking, guys, and taking into account that the relative strength index, the RSI, of this stock is at 58 points, still healthy. It is about to get a bit overheated, but it is still at a healthy spot. So I'm thinking, guys, that if XOS can definitely take on $5, then momentum might be kicking in, and therefore the bulls of this stock are going to be able to fill the next gap up to $7.62. $7.62 is an area in which the bulls of the stock of this company failed on September 22nd, and they also failed back on September 17th. So if we happen to be able to take a momentum trade with the stock of this company, let's say purchasing shares at $5.06 or $5.10, and if we sell out of our shares at $7.68, get this, guys, this could be a 33% trade. So keep a close watch on XOS. As I just said, most of the EV related stocks had a phenomenal day today. So if that good momentum keeps on going on tomorrow, and if XOS can take on $5 on good volume and momentum, then this gap could be filled, and this trade will leave us an unbelievable or a very solid profit of almost 34%. And the second stock of this video is going to be another EV related stock, Evgo, which killed it today as well, guys. Evgo went up today 2.81%, and it closed today's trading session at $8.04. So I am going to zoom in here on the 4-hour chart, and this might be another stock, guys, with which we might be potentially able to take a momentum trade such as the one that I just told you guys about on XOS. So $8.15 is a previous area of support that already acted as such on 2 occasions for Evgo back in mid-August, and that is coinciding with this 50 SMA on the 4-hour chart. So I'm thinking, guys, that if the bulls of Evgo can take on $8.12 or $8.10 on good volume and momentum, they could be potentially able to fill the next gap up to $10.46. $10.46 is a previous area of support that acted as such back in mid-July. It also acted as such back in the course of May. And lastly, it acted as support back in early March. So if we were able to take this trade the way that I am describing it, let's say that we pick up some shares at $8.30, and if we sell out of our shares at $10.53, we are looking at a 20% profit trade. And if I zoom in a bit more over here, watch out here, guys, because if Evgo keeps on pulling up, we could end up seeing a golden cross. We might see tomorrow or maybe on Thursday this 50 SMA crossing above this 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart, and that would be very bullish, and that would potentially help the bulls of Evgo to fill this gap up to $10.50. So keep a close watch on Evgo as well. And the third stock of this video is going to be Caterpillar, guys. So what is going to happen tomorrow if we happen to get a worse than expected CPI data report? Then in that case, the inflation trade is going to kill it. So we might see financial stocks and industrial stocks and material stocks rallying up tomorrow. And take a look at what I just told you. So the economy is supposedly getting overheated. Inflation is supposedly getting out of control. And tomorrow we are going to get the CPI data report. The CPI data report of September is going to come out with a lot of concerns out there about inflation. And XOS went up today and Evgo went up today as well. And on the flip side, Caterpillar, an inflation trade, a pure inflation trade, let's just put it that way, ended up going down today 1.54%, and it closed today's trading session at $189.92. So if tomorrow we have a worse than expected CPI data report, this might be a legit inflation trade, guys. $190 acted as lower support today. It also acted as lower support back on October 6th. And we are also talking about a former area of lower support that acted as such back in February of this year. So we are seeing prices, guys, in the case of Caterpillar that we haven't seen in almost, I don't know, like 9 or 10 months. So I think that $190 is definitely a buy when it comes to the stock of this company. If I happen to start a trade on Caterpillar, picking up shares at $190, then my price target is going to be the next important area of overhead resistance near $198. $198 is a previous area of support that already acted as such back on July 19, but we are also talking about a former area of support that acted as such back in mid-February. So we are in front, or the bulls of Caterpillar are in front of a former area of support that was broken to the downside and that now is supposed to act as a new resistance. So starting a trade at $190 and selling out of our shares at $198-ish, we are looking at a 4% profit. This would be a nice profit that we could make with the stock of a company that offers a very low risk. And if we take a look at the relative strength index of CAT, it is at 34 points, so the stock of this company is pretty much about to enter into oversold territory. So that increases, this fact increases the likelihood for the bulls of Caterpillar to keep on holding as support $190 and then bounce back up. And the last stock of this video is going to be another higher multiple stock that ended up going up today. As I have been saying here, in this video. This is weird, guys. Very, but very weird. I was thinking early this morning, that most of the higher multiple stocks were going to be under pressure today. And take a look what I am telling you. Nvta, this is a higher multiple stock. XOS, Evgo, all of those stocks are expensive stocks. Needless to say, Tesla, guys. Tesla ended up going up today $13. The day before we get such an important CPI data report. So very weird, guys. Very, but very weird. So when Nvta went up today 1.61%, and it closed today's trading session at $26.53. So I am going to zoom in here on the 4-hour chart. And guys, the bulls of Nvta are about to test a very important area of overhead resistance at $27. $27 is a former area of support back from early June and also back from mid-May. So I'm thinking, guys, that if the bulls of Nvta happen to be able to take on $27 and good volume and momentum, and take into account, or something that is worth pointing out over here, is that the relative strength index of the stock of this company is at 46 points, very but very healthy from a technical standpoint. Nvta is neither oversold nor overbought. So I'm thinking that momentum is very likely to kick in. And in that case, and this is a very volatile stock, guys, mind you, when it trades on good volume. So I think that the gap up to $32 could be filled, guys. $32 is the next important area of overhead resistance for Nvta. We are talking about a former area of resistance in which the bulls of Nvta failed on several occasions back in late September. They also failed back in early September. And lastly, they failed at this area back in mid-July. So at 20, if I happen to obviously start a position on Nvta, I am going to be picking up some shares once I confirmed that the bulls of Nvta were able to burst above $27. So I would be picking up some shares at $27.40 or $27.30. So if I happen to be able to take this trade the way that I am describing it, I could be making a 14% profit, guys. This would be a very good trade. And mind you, over here we can see a red flag. You guys can see this 50 SMA on the 4-hour chart that recently crossed below this 180 SMA. So this is a clear death cross. And we can make the case that this death cross, in order to be invalidated, then the bulls of Nvta need to take on this 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart at $28.74. So until the bulls of Nvta are able to burst above $28.70, this red cross is still in play, and we have to be careful. So if I start a trade on Nvta, as I just said, picking up some shares at $27.40, and until the bulls can take on this 180 SMA on the 4-hour chart, I am going to be careful, and I am going to probably have a stop loss already placed just in case. And mind you, Nvta is, and as I just said, is a stock that trades on higher multiples. So this might be a victim of the market if tomorrow we happen to have a worse than expected CPI data report. So watch out for Nvta bursting above $27 and filling the gap up to the next important area of overhead resistance at $32-ish. And with Nvta, I am going to wrap up the video. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for hanging out with me once again. Remember and keep in mind, guys, that here on the Bilingual Stock Market channel, we are posting stock market update videos Mondays through Thursdays, 3 or 4 hours after the market closes. So if you want to get all of the notifications of all of our videos in a timely manner, you have to be subscribed to the channel, but you also need to activate the notification bell right up there. Follow us on Instagram as well, guys, at Bilingual Stock Market. And remember that this is the Bilingual Stock Market channel, the YouTube channel in which we talk about the markets, but we do it in English and Spanish as well, so you can pick your preferred language. But most importantly, sorry guys, but most importantly, this is the YouTube channel in which we know that the wonderful world of Wall Street is not for geniuses, it is for entrepreneurs just like you guys and myself. My name is Alvaro, and I will see you guys tomorrow once again, 3 or 4 hours after the market closes. Peace out.